Right now, the invisible shield protecting one of the most heavily guarded nations on earth has been completely shattered. The United States has just dismantled Russian-built air defenses over Iran. And the shocking truth is that most people have absolutely no idea what this actually means for the future of the world. This is not just another military operation. This is a massive shift in global power happening right over our heads. And it leaves an entire region completely exposed if you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the real hidden moves happening on the global chessboard before anyone else does. Hit that subscribe button right now. Finding the complicated news broken down into the raw truth is rare, and the story unfolding today is exactly why tuning in is essential. Consider exactly what just happened. For years, Iran has relied on a massive, highly advanced network of Russian air defense systems. These missile systems were sold to the world as the ultimate wall in the sky. They were supposed to be the absolute best, capable of locking onto and destroying any incoming threat before it even got close. This was the ultimate insurance policy. As long as those Russian missiles were pointing at the sky, the leaders on the ground felt untouchable. They believed the airspace was locked down tight, but in the blink of an eye, that illusion of safety was wiped out. The United States military bypassed, blinded, and dismantled those exact systems. They took apart the unbreakable wall. Think about what that means. The sky over Iran is no longer closed. It is wide open. All of those highly expensive, deeply feared Russian defense batteries failed to stop the American technology. The immediate result is absolute panic for anyone relying on that same shield. It means that the most secretive locations, the military bases, and the underground facilities are suddenly sitting in plain sight with the roof ripped off. Without that air defense, there is nothing stopping advanced fighter jets or drones from operating freely. The safety net is gone, and the balance of power in the entire Middle East just flipped upside down in a matter of hours. But the real panic is not just happening in Iran. It is happening thousands of miles away, and it involves a completely different global superpower. To understand the true scale of what just happened, you have to look away from the Middle East and look directly at Russia. The destruction of these air defenses over Iran is one of the most devastating blows to the Russian military industry in modern history. Why? Because Russia does not just use these missile systems for their own protection, they sell them. These air defense platforms are one of their biggest moneymakers and their strongest tools for making friends around the globe. For decades, the sales pitch has been simple: buy these defense systems and you will be safe from Western air power. Countries all over the world, from Asia to Africa to South America, have spent billions upon billions of dollars buying these exact same Russian shields. They bought them believing they were purchasing absolute security. They thought they were buying a dome of protection that no American jet could ever cross. Now, those countries are waking up to a terrifying new reality. They are looking at the news, seeing those systems dismantled with ease over Iran, and realizing they might have wasted their money. The unbreakable Russian shield has been proven broken on the world stage. The dismantling of these defenses sends a loud, undeniable message to every single nation that relies on that technology. Your skies are not safe, and the equipment you bought cannot stop the most advanced militaries. This causes a massive ripple effect in global politics. Nations that felt bold because they were hiding behind Russian missiles are suddenly feeling very vulnerable. The confidence that held alliances together is cracking. If the top-tier air defense cannot stop an attack, then all the plans, all the strategies, and all the aggressive moves those countries were planning have to be put on hold. They are practically defenseless from above at the same time. This provides the ultimate leverage without firing a single shot at these other nations. This event just forced them to rethink their entire defense strategy. The global chessboard has been cleared, and the pieces are scrambling. And while the military leaders panic about their broken skies, there is another massive consequence unfolding right now. It is a shift in the global economy and the secret deals being made in the dark, which is about to be uncovered next. Think about the billions of dollars exchanging hands in the dark. The global weapons trade is a massive shadow economy that decides exactly who holds power and who stays weak. When the Russian air defenses were taken apart over Iran, a massive, undeniable shockwave hit that shadow economy. Entire nations are suddenly looking at their massive military budgets and realizing they just spent billions on useless metal. Contracts are being ripped up behind closed doors. Leaders who trusted this technology are now facing angry generals who know their troops are completely exposed. This is not just a simple military defeat. It is a catastrophic economic blow to the suppliers who rely entirely on selling these systems to stay afloat, to keep getting the raw truth about these massive global money shifts that the mainstream media completely ignores. Hit that subscribe button right now. Subscribing ensures the real stories reach the people who need to hear them most, exactly when the world is changing the fastest. Now, watch closely what happens to the money. The countries that build and sell these defeated systems are suddenly losing their absolute best customers. If a nation cannot sell its weapons, it loses its influence on the world stage. The money dries up, the political power fades, the immense leverage they had over smaller, weaker nations completely vanishes overnight. Buyers are furious and demanding answers. They are actively looking for new, stronger suppliers. And in this incredibly ruthless global market, when one giant falls, another giant steps right in to take all the profits. There's a sudden frantic rush to buy different technology, specifically from the nations that just proved their power in the sky. This changes trade agreements, it changes international oil deals, and it changes exactly who controls the critical resources of the world. Because if a country cannot defend its oil fields, its ports, or its capital city from an attack from above, it has to make deals with the people who can. The entire economic map of the region is being rewritten right this second because of a few hours of precision military action, but the story does not end with money and lost contracts. The most dangerous reaction is how the defeated parties are planning to strike back and the absolutely desperate measures they are about to unleash on the world. When a massive fortress is suddenly left without a roof, the people inside do not just surrender and give up, they get desperate. And desperate nations do incredibly dangerous, unpredictable things. The complete dismantling of these air defenses means that the traditional way of fighting is officially over for these countries. They know they cannot win a straight fight in the open sky anymore. The technology gap is just too massive to overcome. So what happens next? The rules of the game change completely, and the battle moves directly into the shadows. Instead of relying on missiles and fighter jets, the focus shifts entirely to unconventional warfare. The retaliation will not come in the form of a massive traditional military strike that can be easily seen on radar. It will come in ways that are much harder to track and nearly impossible to defend against. Expect to see a massive, unprecedented increase in cyber attacks. When an army cannot shoot down a jet, they try to hack the computer systems that control it. They try to shut down the power grids of the nations that embarrass them on the world stage. They will target civilian banks, water supplies, and global communication networks. The digital battlefield is about to become the most active and destructive war zone on the entire planet. Furthermore, the strategy shifts heavily to proxy fighters. These are the small, hidden, unofficial groups that operate entirely in the background, fully funded and heavily armed by the big players who can no longer fight in the open. These groups will be unleashed to cause total chaos, to disrupt international shipping lanes, and to attack smaller, softer targets without any warning. The main goal is to create so much noise, fear, and disruption that the superior military forces are stretched entirely too thin trying to stop it all. This is the classic dangerous strategy of a cornered player. If the sky belongs to the opponent, the immediate response is to make the ground and the digital world absolutely unlivable for everyone else. The safety of the global public is now hanging by a very thin thread because the predictable rules of engagement have been thrown completely out the window. The shield is completely gone. The national pride is deeply wounded. And the next phase of this conflict is going to be invisible, unpredictable, and highly destructive. The entire landscape of global security is violently shifting beneath the surface, and the ultimate climax of this global chess match is rushing toward us faster than anyone realizes. The destruction of the ultimate defense shield triggers an immediate, frantic race for survival among the nations left exposed. When the sky is ripped open, the ground below becomes a frantic, scrambling ground for new alliances. Think of a neighborhood where the biggest, toughest security guard was just effortlessly knocked out. Suddenly, everyone paying that guard for protection is terrified. They are dialing the phones, looking for a new protector, and making deals with former rivals just to stay in the game. The balance of power in the Middle East has completely evaporated, and a massive power vacuum has opened up. In geopolitics, a power vacuum is the most dangerous thing on Earth because nature hates a vacuum, and massive empires will brutally fight to fill it. To make sure the real geopolitical truth keeps reaching the public, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. The mainstream channels will never connect these dots, and subscribing guarantees a front row seat to the actual shifts in this global dominance as they happen. Now, look at the nations surrounding the exposed territory. For years, they lived under the constant looming threat of a protected, untouchable neighbor. Now, that neighbor is completely vulnerable. This realization changes the calculus of every single military commander in the region. The deterrent is completely gone. Nations that were previously holding back out of fear are suddenly calculating the odds of a successful preemptive strike. The old treaties and the old boundaries were drawn based on the idea that attacking meant facing an unbreakable wall of Russian missiles. With that wall completely dismantled, the maps are essentially being redrawn in real time. This is exactly how massive, sweeping regional conflicts begin. It starts not with an invasion, but with the sudden, shocking realization that an invasion is suddenly possible. Furthermore, the frantic search for a new shield forces these exposed nations into the arms of entirely new global superpowers. If the old supplier cannot provide safety, they must look east, specifically to rising powers in Asia, to quickly buy completely different technology. This means the entire economic and military alignment of the region is shifting away from its traditional anchors. New secret bases are being negotiated. New satellite tracking agreements are being signed in the dead of night. The entire region is locking itself into new, untested partnerships, creating a massive web of alliances that could easily drag the entire globe into a conflict if just one single wire is tripped. But the most terrifying aspect of this shifting landscape is not the conventional weapons or the new alliances. It is the ultimate unthinkable weapon that a cornered, defenseless nation might try to build to guarantee its own survival. When a nation loses its ability to defend its skies with conventional missiles, a chilling, deeply dangerous logic takes over the minds of its leaders. The thought process becomes incredibly simple and incredibly terrifying. If a country cannot shoot down incoming fighter jets, it must possess a weapon so horrifying, so completely devastating that no one would ever dare to launch those jets in the first place. The dismantling of the Russian air defense network over Iran is the exact catalyst that accelerates the dark, highly secretive race for the ultimate insurance policy. It acts as a massive accelerant for total nuclear proliferation. Consider the psychology of survival on the global stage. The leaders sitting in those exposed, vulnerable command centers are looking at the sky and realizing that technology alone will never save them. They just watched top-tier defense systems get completely bypassed and dismantled like a cheap toy. Therefore, the only logical conclusion for a desperate regime is to acquire the one weapon that completely halts all conventional attacks. The loss of the air shield pushes the timeline for acquiring these ultimate weapons into overdrive. The massive underground bunkers are not just hiding places anymore. They become the frantic laboratories where the future of the entire region is being forged in absolute secrecy. This puts the rest of the world on an incredibly short, terrifying countdown. Intelligence agencies are now working overtime, watching satellite feeds with absolute dread, knowing that the window to stop a catastrophic escalation is closing faster than ever before. It forces the major global powers into a massive, high-stakes game of chicken. Do they strike now while the skies are open and the defenses are down to permanently crush the underground laboratories, or do they hold back, fearing the political fallout and risk waking up one morning to find out the ultimate weapon has been completed? This is the razor-thin edge the world is walking on right this very second. The destruction of those air defenses was not the end of a military operation. It was the starting gun for the most dangerous arms race of the modern era. Every single second that ticks by is another second a cornered, unshielded nation spends frantically trying to build a doomsday device just to keep the bombers away. The geopolitical chessboard is no longer about capturing pieces. It is about preventing the board from being flipped over entirely. The final explosive culmination of all these shifting powers, broken shields, and desperate measures is about to reach a boiling point, and the conclusion will forever alter the course of modern history. The final piece of this massive global puzzle is right in front of us, and it changes the future of every single person watching. When the American forces took apart those Russian shields over Iran, they did not just break metal computers and radar dishes. They shattered the entire illusion of global safety. Every single world leader is now staring up at the sky, completely terrified, wondering if their own extremely expensive defense systems are just useless junk waiting to be turned off. The old rules of global security are officially dead and buried. To make sure the real news keeps finding its way to the surface and to stay awake while the rest of the world sleeps through these massive historical shifts, hit the subscribe button right now. Do not get caught entirely off guard when the next massive domino falls. Think about the reality of this brand new world. The era of hiding behind a bought and paid for dome of protection is completely over. The event over, Iran was a blaring alarm bell for the entire planet. It proved that if a top-tier military wants to enter the airspace of another country, there is absolutely no shield on earth that can stop them. The immediate result is that the entire Middle East and every nation watching from the sidelines is forced into a state of total paranoia. This means global oil markets will stay on edge, massive international shipping lanes will be heavily guarded, and the cost of everything will react to the absolute fear of an open sky. When a major region shakes this violently, the economic earthquake is felt in every single hometown across the globe. The globe is now entering an age of total vulnerability. The skies are wide open. The shadow economies are frantically scrambling for new, untested weapons, and desperate cornered nations are racing in the dark to build the ultimate, unthinkable doomsday bombs just to ensure their own survival. The global chessboard is not just cleared, the board itself is completely broken. The pieces are scattered everywhere, and no one knows exactly who will make the next aggressive move. From this exact moment on, the only true defense for a nation is raw, unmatched offensive power, or hiding completely in the shadows. The world forever changed the exact second those Russian defenses went totally dark over Iran. Most people walking the streets today have absolutely no idea what this actually means yet. They are going about their day completely unaware that the invisible walls that kept the world in a fragile balance are totally gone. The ultimate race for survival in a wide open, highly dangerous world has officially begun, and there is absolutely no turning back.